to tell you about Alexander Miline. Alexander Miline was a poet, a story writer, and a playwright. His most successful book that we're going to be telling you today about is The Complete Tales of Winnie the Pooh. The first thing that we're going to be telling you about Alexander Miline was that he was an English author and he graduated from London. He's best known for his books and his poems and his playwrights. Now, Alexander Miline started to think about a real life toy that he wanted to express during this time. So the real life toy that he brought to life was a teddy bear named Pooh. And he just did not want to reach only one type of audience. He wanted to reach children and adults and all around the world. And he brought this to life to children back in years ago. And today, Alexander Miline's book is still being, read by children of this time. Now, the book that I'm going to be telling you about today is The Complete Tales of Winnie the Pooh. Also, the illustrations were done by Ernest H. Shepard, and the way that Ernest H. Shepard, portrayed the animals is sweet and kind and understanding. And so we have Winnie the Pooh eating honey, we have Roo and his mom Kanga, and we have Eeyore, and we also have Christopher Robin. These characters make up all of the toys that Alexander Miline had created during his time as a writer. As this time is going, by, Alexander Miline has started to compile his book, The Complete Tales of Winnie the Pooh. At first, it's very unqualified. It's not very successful because no one really, understands what it all consists of. But today, after he, wrote his book over again the second time, it became a very success. And now today, everybody reads about the Complete Tales of Winnie the Pooh in a different way. Also, the Complete Tales of the Winnie the Pooh is not the only thing that Alexander Miline has created. He has created poems, poets, and playwrights. And how Alexander came up with this idea of the teddy bear was when his sons, had his little toy teddy bear in his room. And so he imagined that this teddy bear and this boy named Christopher Robin could be best friends and become the greatest friends ever. And so, as he was writing this book, he also led to say that this boy and this bear became to have a great friendship. This starts a interesting pattern of today's books with Alexander Miline with live action, with live toys coming to life. As a child or adult reading this book, you're thinking like, you're going through all the imaginations and all the interesting, patterns of what Alexander Miline wanted in his books. And the main part of this, story and is that Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh go on different adventures. They go through the zoo, they go to the Hundred Acre Woods, they go to Pooh's friends' house and have parties. And so, as we can say that Alexander Miline had a great life of influencing young children to express themselves in imagination of using regular things that come from their house. Now, Alexander Miline, was not only a great person, but he also has some great strengths and weaknesses. The strengths of Alexander Miline shows us that he worked hard night and day to, get his point over what he wanted in his collections of Winnie the Pooh. Not only did he, have some strengths, but he also kind of has some weaknesses that we didn't even see up close. There's some people that we can see their weaknesses very up close, but this one we couldn't see in Alexander Miline that he had weaknesses because his success kind of, escalated so fastly that we couldn't see that he had a weakness. But now that we see that his success is is coming alive and very and showing influence in others' lives, now I can say that there's no weaknesses of this with Alexander Miline because he was spot on. He always wanted to work hard and to make children's literature the best that he could and make it. Some authors, they're weak in their writing, but no, Alexander Miline's writing, it brings it to life. Sometimes it can be sad, sometimes it can be happy, but no, he brings everybody together as a friendship, just like he did with the complete tales of Winnie the Pooh with Christopher Robin and Pooh. And lastly, this is a quote by Alexander Miline about Alexander Miline. You will be better advised to watch what we do instead of what we say. This quote says that whatever you are doing, someone's always watching you do it. So we've been watching Alexander Miline's success first going down, but then now it's going up. So as I say, we might have seen some weaknesses come over him and see him with his books not being very successful, but now that we see that this quote and his books and his writings were very crucial in this time, we can see that during that time he could have had weaknesses in his brain thinking about that, but no, his mindset was like, no, I have to put these out, I have to read, I have to get the right book to influence this generation today. So as I'm going to be reading some of the answers of Complete Tales of Winnie the Pooh by Alexander Miline, I want you to think about what I said about different types of of what he wanted in this book, because what he wrote in this book is adventures of a bear and a little boy going to different places. They're going swimming, they're going hunting, they're eating, they're sleeping, they're sleeping and enjoying themselves and doing day-to-day things that a bear and a child could not do in real life. So he, as Alexander Miline, he has brought this to life, not to, give us a where oh no, there's, this bear and this child, being together, that, oh, I guess a regular, real life bear can actually be with a boy. No, he's like, you can use your imagination and make anything come to life. So I am going to read you some of Here we go. Here is Edward Bear coming downstairs now. Bump, bump, bump on the back of his head. Behind Christopher Robin, it is, as far as he knows, the only way of coming downstairs, but sometimes he feels that there really is another way if only he could stop bumping for a moment and think of it. And then he feels that perhaps there isn't any how. He is here at the bottom and ready to introduce to you Winnie the Pooh. When I first heard his name, I said, just as you are going to say, but I thought he was a boy, so I did, said Christopher Robin. Then you can't call him Winnie. I don't, but you said he's Winnie the Pooh. Don't you know what there means? Oh, yes, now I do, I said quickly. I hope you do too, because it's all the explanation you are going to get. Sometimes Winnie the Pooh likes a game of some sort when he comes downstairs, and sometimes he likes to sit quietly in the front of the fire and listen to a story. This evening, what about a story, said Christopher Robin. What about a story? I said. Could you very sweetly tell Winnie the Pooh one, I suppose? I could. I said, what sort of stories does he like? About himself, because he's that sort of bear. Oh, I see. So could you very sweetly? I tried. I said, so I tried. Once upon a time, a very time ago, now, about last Friday, Winnie the Pooh lived in the forest, all by himself, under the name of Sanders. What does under the name mean? Asked Christopher Robin. It means he had a name over the door and gold letters and lived under it. Winnie the Pooh was quite sure, said Christopher Robin. Now I am, said a grumbly voice. Then I will go on, said I. One day when he was out walking, he came to an open place. In the middle of the forest, in the middle of this place, was a large oak tree. And from the top of the tree, there came a loud buzzing noise. When Winnie the Pooh sat down in the front of the tree, put his head between his paws, and began to think. First of all, he said to himself, that buzzing noise means something. You don't get a buzzing noise like that, just buzzing and buzzing without its meaning something. If there's a buzzing, now somebody's making a buzzing noise, and the only reason for making a buzzing noise that I know of is because you're a bee. Then he thought another long time and said, and the only reason for being a bee that I know of is making honey. And then he got up and said, and the only reason for making honey is so as I can eat it. So he began to climb the tree. He climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed. As he climbed, he sang a little song to himself. It went a little like this. Isn't it funny how a bear like honey, buzz, buzz, I wonder why he does. Then he climbed a little further, and a little further, and then just a little further. By that time, he had thought of another song. It's a very funny thought that if bears were bees, they would build their nests, and at the bottom of the trees. That being so, if the bees were bees, we shouldn't have to climb all these stairs. He was getting rather tired by this time, so that is why he sang a compelling song. He was nearly there now, and if he just stood on that branch, crack! Oh, help, said Pooh, as he dropped 10 feet on the branch below him. If only I had, he said, as he bounced 20 feet onto the next branch. You see, what I meant to do is explain as he turned head over heels and crashed onto another branch 30 feet below. What I meant to do, of course, it was rather, he admitted, as he slaughtered very quickly through the next 6 branches. It all comes, I suppose, he decided, as he said goodbye to the last branch, spun round 3 times, and flew gracefully into a grouse bush. It all comes up like honey so much. Oh, help! He crawled out of the brush and brushed the prickles from his nose, and he began to think again, and the first person he thought of was Christopher Robin. Was that me? Said Christopher Robin in an odd voice, hardly daring to believe it. That was you, Christopher Robin said nothing, but his eyes got larger and larger. His face got pricker and prickler. So Winnie the Pooh went round to his friend, and Christopher Robin, who lived behind a green door, another part of the forest. Good morning, Christopher Robin, he said. Good morning, Winnie the Pooh, said you. I wonder if you've got such a thing as a balloon about you. A balloon? Yes, I just said to myself coming along, I wonder if Christopher Robin has such a thing as a balloon about him. I just said to myself, thinking of balloons and wondering, what do you want a balloon for? He said. Winnie the Pooh looked round to see that nobody was listening, put his paws to his mouth and said in a deep whisper, Honey! But you don't get honey with balloons. I do, said Pooh. Well, it just happened that you had been to a party the day before at the house of your friend Pickup, and he had balloons at the party. You had a big green balloon, and one of Rabbit's rations had a big blue one, had left it behind, being really too young to go to a party at all. So you had brought a green one and the blue one home with you. Which one would you like, you asked Pooh. He put his hand between his paws and thought very carefully. It's like this, he said. When you go after honey with a balloon, the great thing is not to let the bees know you're coming. Now, if you have a green balloon, they might think you were only a part of the tree and notice you. And if you have a blue balloon, they might think you were only part of the sky and now notice you. And the question is, which is the most likely? Would they notice you underneath the balloon, you ask? They might or they might not, said Winnie the Pooh. You never can tell with bees, he thought for a moment, and said, I shall try to look like a small black cloud. That won't deceive them. Then you had better have a blue balloon, you said, so it was decided. Well, both went out with a blue balloon, and you took your gun with you, just in case, as you always did, and Winnie the Pooh went to a very muddy place that he knew of and rolled until he was black all over. And then when the balloon was blown up as big, and you and Pooh were both holding to the string, you let go suddenly, and poor Pooh Bear floated gracefully up into the sky and stayed there level with the top of the tree and about 20 feet away from it. Hooray, you shouted. Isn't that fine? Shouted Winnie the Pooh down to you. What do I look like? You look like a bear holding to a balloon, you said. Not said fortunately, not like a small black cloud in a blue sky. Not very much. Oh, well, perhaps from up here it looks different. And as I said, you never can tell with bees. There was no wind to blow him nearer to the tree. So there he stayed. He could see the honey. He could smell the honey. But he could quite reach the honey. And after a little while he called down to you. Christopher Robin, he said in a loud whisper. Hello, I think the bees suspect something. What sort of thing? I don't know, but something tells me that they're suspicious. Perhaps they think that you're after their honey. It may be that. You never can tell with bees. There was another little silence, and then he called down to you again. Christopher Robin, yes, have you an umbrella in your house? I think so. I wish you would bring it out here and walk up down with it and look up at me every now and then and say, toot toot, it looks like rain. I think if you did that, it would help the deception which we are pressing on these bees. Well, you laughed to yourself, silly old bear, but you didn't say it out loud because you were so fond of him. And you went home for your umbrella. Oh, there you are, called down Winnie the Pooh. As soon as you got back to the tree, I was beginning to get anxious. I have discovered that bees are now definitely suspicious. Shall I put my umbrella up here? Oh, you said, yes, but wait a moment, we must be practical. The important thing to deceive is queen bee. You can see which is the queen bee from down there. No. Pretty well now, if you walk up and down with your umbrella, saying toot toot, it looks like rain, I shall do what I can do, and by singing a little cloud song, and as the cloud might sing, go. So while you walk up and down and wonder if it would rain, Winnie the Pooh sang this song. How sweet to be a cloud, floating in blue. Every little cloud always sings aloud. How sweet to be a cloud floating in the blue. It makes him very proud to be a little cloud. This is what we have learned about Alexander Miline and his book of the complete tales of Winnie the Pooh. Alexander Miline has left